Saturday paper, a piece titled "How the AUKUS Deal is Set to Fail." The article quotes former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, who claims the UK views Australia as a rich dummy. And for more on that and a few other stories making headlines today, we are joined by University of Queensland academic and former diplomat IanKemish. Ian, always great to speak to you on Weekend Breakfast. Let's get more on this article and those comments by Malcolm Turnbull, saying that in this deal, Australia has the most at risk here.
Yeah, morning to both of you. Great to be with you. This piece in the Saturday paper draws on a range of people, actually, Malcolm Turnbull among several others, including defence analysts and retired admirals from here in Australia and from the UK, in raising quite serious questions about whether AUKUS can deliver the required submarine capability on time or indeed at all. It reflects, or they reflect, this group of people, on the extent to which shipbuilding in the United States and the UK is already under extreme pressure, and reflects also on the way we have invested as a country in the industrial capacity and political will of two countries which we don't control. We can exert no control. We can exert influence, but no control. So it's a high-risk strategy, is their point, and it comes at a time when questions are being raised about the broader political context in which this alliance exists. In the end, this is a risk for Australia, and as we all know, Australia has invested already $4.6 billion in the US towards this end, and apparently has earmarked a further $4.8 billion to UK industry. So these are pretty serious questions that are being asked, albeit by a group of people who are already pretty firmly on record as sceptical about AUKUS.
Yeah, some really interesting developments there to keep our eye on indeed. Ian, we want to turn to this other article from The Guardian, sort of reflecting on how, well, the world order has really sort of been upended by this second term of the Trump administration, and also asking the question as to what would actually rupture bilateral relations between Australia and the US. Where is that red line?
Yeah, and these are really interesting questions. These are questions which our policymakers seem reluctant to address, or at least publicly, probably for reasons we all understand. But they're fundamental questions, right? The US alliance for Australia has been the bedrock of our foreign and security policy for 70 years now. Generations of policymakers have grown up in a certain understanding about the role of the United States. But what we've seen, certainly over the course of the first year of the Trump administration, is volatility, questions about commitment to alliance, indeed, in very recent times, suggestions that the US may even, under Trump, move against Greenland in a way that would be devastating for the NATO alliance, which, like the ANZUS alliance, has been in place since the Second World War. It's the absence of predictability which comes out of this article so clearly. And of course, our alliance is based on an assumption that the United States is a predictable partner and will play a certain benign role in the region. Now, that has, many people, including many members of the Australian public, have some serious questions about that. This article quotes some now pretty well documented polling of Australians about how they feel about the Australian alliance, and quite frankly, the alliance with the United States is open to much more questions. Certainly, feelings about Trump's the United States are very much to the fore in people's thinking when they think about who our friends and our partners are across the world.
Speaking of friends and partners, Ian, this final article in the Sydney Morning Herald is talking about a bit of a pivot in Canadian foreign policy as well.
Really interesting in the circumstances we're facing to see a comparable country like Canada making a move like this. Now, it's not just that Prime Minister Carney has visited China. Of course, Prime Minister Albanese has done the same thing. There's been a warning of Australia-China relations, but this visit has seen talk of a new kind of strategic partnership to meet the new world order, which I find interesting language, or language to that effect. The visit has also seen Canada announce the dismantling of tariffs on electronic vehicles, a set of tariffs that were put in place during the Biden administration, essentially in solidarity with the United States in its engagement with China. So this is quite significant, I think, if you're an Australian policymaker or a thinking member of the Australian public reflecting about what direction we should be taking, to look at a comparable middle power, albeit one that has probably faced much more serious tensions with its great ally, the United States, hedging its bets and starting to make its moves. Something for us all to reflect on here in Australia, I think.
IanKemish, fascinating times. Always great to speak to you on Weekend Breakfast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.